Hello and welcome to this quick stimulus package update. Today we have some updates with this next stimulus package, where exactly we're at with that, the Paycheck Protection Program. Unfortunately, some more large businesses who have received funding there, the EIDL grant program, and then at the end I answer some of your guys' stimulus related questions. So getting right into it with the next stimulus package, it's been stated, unfortunately, that lawmakers have said that they're nowhere near reaching an agreement for the next coronavirus relief bill. And most of these issues, of course, are coming down to this party wants this party wants that, they can't agree, blah, blah, blah. And according to thehill.com, Republicans will not support any bill that does not include increased liability protection for employers as they reopen their businesses, so much so that they've stated that they will not pass any bill through the Senate that does not include some kind of increased liability protection within it. And I'll give some context as to why I think they're so adamant about increasing liability protections for employers. It's because we live in a litigious, sue-happy country, where one lawsuit can be much more expensive than a business remaining closed for an additional month. So here's an example. Let's say you own Disney World, and some kid who went to Disney World open-mouth coughs on Snoopy. And then Snoopy goes home and gives the coronavirus to his dad. And unfortunately, his dad later passes because of the coronavirus. Now you would be looking at a wrongful death suit and boom, $13 million in fines. That's why they want businesses to have more protection. Meanwhile, Democrats are voicing that they will not support anything that weakens protections for workers who worry that they could be pushed into unsafe working conditions if their employers feel that they're protected from lawsuits. The reasoning on that side is pretty obvious. They don't want Snoopy working in the first place if there's a risk of him working. So I'll let you form your own opinion on which side you agree with, and we'll move on to the next topic. In Paycheck Protection news, as of today, May 4th, 11.1% of small businesses who have applied for the Paycheck Protection Program have actually received funding. This is up from 10.4% 2 days ago. So we're seeing a little bit of an increase. What is that, like an 8-9% increase in the last 2 days? So I'm glad to see an increase. I'm hoping that this week we see some big spikes up in those numbers. Another large business has returned funds for the Paycheck Protection Program after receiving some heat. The company is Ashford Incorporated. It's a large hospitality conglomerate who received close to $70 million in Paycheck Protection Program funding, and like I said, decided to return their funding. And I did a little bit of research. According to their LinkedIn page, Ashford Trust and Bramer Hotels have 131 hotels with more than 29,000 rooms and approximately $7.4 billion in assets. Billion. And they gave a statement saying that at the time of applying, they fit within the SBA's criteria. However, the SBA has changed their criteria, so they decided to return the money. And this comes back to my point in previous videos where I state that I don't necessarily blame the businesses. I blame the system, because these businesses are just doing whatever they can to use the systems available to them. It shouldn't be set up to where a company with billions of dollars in assets can even apply for this. Moving on to the next piece of Paycheck Protection news, $175 billion of the $310 billion in additional funding just made about 10 days ago, as of the recording of this video, is already accounted for and slotted for small businesses. So that means more than half of the funds are already accounted for in this additional amount. This isn't just the first round of funding, this is the second round of funding. So this means that predictions are likely going to be correct that the funding will run dry in less than 2 weeks total, which is about a week from today. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Have you applied for the Paycheck Protection Program? What's your experience? Have you received funding? If you have applied, what was the wait time? I'd be curious to see how many of you have actually received funding. Moving on to EIDL news, as of today, May 4th, according to covidloantracker.com, 13.7% of small businesses have received their EIDL grant money. This is up from 13.1% 2 days ago. We might see a transition where the Paycheck Protection funding actually passes up EIDL funding for the first time, because it seems like that is slowly increasing faster than the EIDL, but only time will tell. The EIDL application portal is still closed as of today and has been closed for the past week or so. However, there has been some whispering that the loan portal will open up tomorrow. However, I have yet to find any concrete proof on that, and I personally would doubt that it would be opened up tomorrow. But I'll keep you guys updated if I find anything more on that. So on to your guys' stimulus questions. Tambera Swift asks, is there any chance I won't get my check because I have not filed for 3 years due to medical reasons? So if you've not filed taxes for 3 years, it's very important that you fill out the IRS's non-filer tool. If you don't do that, you likely won't receive your stimulus. So make sure you fill out that tool. The next question, Eve Keith asks, my husband died on March 13th. We filed jointly. On May 1st, I received a stimulus check for $2,400. I tried calling the Treasury Department and waited 2 hours for someone to return my call. How do I return the check? Well, first off, Eve, I'd like to say that you sound like a saint, and I'm really sorry to hear about your loss. If you do want to return this stimulus, you should be receiving a letter in the mail from the IRS within about 2 weeks that gives you the opportunity to reach out to them and make any corrections on the stimulus check form. However, I think that you might actually be entitled to keep the entire payment because your husband passed this year. He was alive for the 2019 tax year. The reason I say this is because with the way how the stimulus package works for dependents, if you have a child who is under 17 years old, you get the dependent payment, and that is counted in the 2019 tax year. So like, let's say you had a 16-year-old who turned 17 in January of this year, you would still receive the dependent payment because they were under 17 the year before. And I have a feeling that's probably similar because your husband was alive in the last period. I personally would recommend keeping it and seeing if a request comes to return it. This may be worth confirming with an accountant, but that's just my personal opinion. And again, I'm really sorry to hear about your loss. And that's all I have for today. If this video helped you guys out at all, I would really appreciate a like on the video. It helps spread this video to a larger audience. It helps YouTube to know, hey, this guy's got some good stuff. Until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.